Hello, I'm James Toy, Senior Vice President of Government Affairs for KCRAR. You're about to watch one of our candidate interviews, an unfiltered, front row look at how those seeking office approach the issues that shape private property rights and the real estate industry as a whole. We share these conversations publicly so you can hear directly from the candidates, understand their positions in their words, and cast your vote with confidence.
Well, good afternoon again, Andrew. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. For your reference, I'm James Toy. I'm the SVP of Government Affairs here at KCRAR, and I'm
Pleasure to meet
joined
you,
by
James.
my teammate Jeff here. Jeff, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, Andrew. My name is Jeff Carson. I'm the Director of Realtor Advocacy here at KCRAR. So happy to be with you today.
It's a pleasure. Nice to meet you too, Jeff.
And Andrew, we'd love if you could tell us a little bit about who you are, kind of a little bit about your background and why you're running for public office.
Well, that's I don't know how long an answer you want for all that, but I was a local dentist in St. Joe for 30 years, and I had to retire when my father took ill, and I got bored. So I thought, well, mom and dad had lived their whole life as volunteers in the community, and that seemed to be the only thing I was capable of doing after I retired. So a couple people said you'd be good for this, and I did. I ran unopposed 4 years ago, and obviously won. And I thought, well, I'll do it again because I think we're doing a lot of good things. I think this particular board is one of the best we've had in St. Joe for a long, long time, and we're starting to kind of move some things forward, move out of the 1970s and into the modern times. So that's essentially why I'm trying to keep us moving in that general direction.
Gotcha. So you're trying to modernize the city, try to move things forward. You said you were a dentist in the area. I'm sorry, how long were you in the practice again?
I was 30 years in private practice and 16 years in the Air Force.
Oh, well, fantastic, and thank you for your service. And
Well, thank you.
Jeff, if you want to kick us off with our first couple of questions, that'd be great.
Sure,
Sure.
absolutely. So again, thank you for being with us today. But housing is kind of our big issue here at the association. And so
Here as
housing
well.
continues to be an important issue, especially in St. Joe. What policies or approaches would you support to ensure residents have access to a diverse and affordable range of housing options?
We've done a number of things. In fact, we decided we needed several hundred more middle income residential homes in St. Joe. And we now have, in the last 2 years, had people build 182, I think. I don't remember the exact, I think it's 182. So we still need a few hundred more. Most of it has been through our economic development and working with the contractors that we've utilized in the economic development team and trying to convince them that we need to build more middle income homes. So it's basically been through tax abatement and a lot of handshaking, probably more handshaking than anything else.
Well, that's how we get things done
Yes,
in the Heartland, don't we?
it is.
Uh,
And it works.
well, question also, when you say middle income or middle kind of that missing middle homes, what is the price range of those homes? Do you have any idea?
I do, if I can remember, and my memory is failing at my age, but it's, I want to say they're in the 60 to 80K range.
You're building houses in the 60 to 80K range?
We are. Now,
That's
these are mostly apartments and townhomes.
okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The single family standalone homes are in the 130 to 180 range, but there's not as many of those as we'd like.
Right. Well, even that's amazing considering what we're seeing in the Johnson County area, things like that.
Well, yeah. Well, Johnson County is one of the top markets in the country. We're not. Our average home value in St. Joe runs about 54,000.
Really?
So yeah, they're low.
I need to be taking some more clients up to St. Joe. That's for sure.
Sure, bring them up. I'll show you around.
You'll take them, right?
And I'm looking at buying in your neighborhood because it goes up a lot faster.
Well, that's a good point. Well, on that line too, economic development also plays a key role in strengthening cities' futures. What is your vision for attracting new employers, supporting existing businesses, and promoting long-term economic growth in St. Joe? You guys have a lot, kind of a diverse economy up there. You got the college, you've got a lot of good industry up there.
We, over the last 30 or 40 years, have lost a lot of uh, technical employees. We've lost a lot of our educated employees. So we have always been a pretty blue collar area. That hasn't changed. It's just that the skilled labor is in shorter supply than it used to be, and the skilled labor jobs are in much shorter supply than they used to be. So we are trying to attract those types of businesses, but as with the rest of the world, a lot of what we're getting is basically college, high school education, GED level positions. Try, but there's just not a lot. We have a really good trade school in St. Joseph. We also have just opened a place called the Holney Center, which is it's in cooperation with the Hilliard Technical School, which is our training, our high school level training facility. They train welders, firemen. We had a dental hygiene program and that my parents set up that unfortunately has since closed because we just can't get enough people to run it. But the Holney Center has training for job-specific skills in manufacturing, in machine operation. We have a couple of Haas machines that we're training people to use. So we are putting a lot of effort and time and money into training skilled labor positions, as well as still skilled but lesser skilled welders and HVAC, those kinds of things. So we've put many millions over the last several years into training to try to keep people in St. Joe, people from St. Joe in St. Joe, as well as try to keep the workforce educated, not just for the people who are here, the employers who are already here, but bring in new employers and have a feed for them to bring people with training and education.
Well, I think that investment in those types of trades actually will probably pay off well. Not
Yes.
not every child is cut out for a 4-year college,
No.
degree, that kind of thing. And as we're seeing skilled labor and these trades, you're seeing some very high paid positions in those fields. So I think that investment is going to pay off for you
Well,
pretty
unfortunately, you
richly.
have Wireco, which started in St. Joe. That brought in a lot of highly skilled labor from Germany and England. Most of those jobs now, unfortunately, are gone. But we still do have businesses in St. Joe that who hire skilled labor, and we need to keep it that way.
Very good.
And we need to have a track for them to go get an education without a 4-year degree.
Absolutely. Thanks
So
for what you're doing
that's
there.
our main thrust for trying to bring in new business. Other than we've built business parks and business centers, and I mean there's obviously a variety of real estate based moves that we have made in the last several years. But that's really what we think will draw people in.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, Andrew, it's funny you mention all that because skilled trade is a key component of the overall solution to our next question, which is as St. Joe continues to expand, I'm sure you are experiencing increased demand on your infrastructure, such as transportation, utilities, public services, and it's a significant concern for a lot of markets across the region. So I'm just curious is how would you prioritize and address increased demand on transportation facilities if you were serving on council?
Oh, I personally haven't really delved into the transportation side of it. I did just have a meeting last week with the mayor and the director of public works, and they did tell me in confidence about some plans that we're looking at proposing this coming fiscal year. And it's all transportation based. The big thing we have here is a need to improve roads. And we've absolutely got to improve roads, and we have to do a lot of it. So we have been approached I assume this is public knowledge. I should know the answer to that, but nobody's ever told me it wasn't. We've been approached to put we have a couple of railheads in St. Joe that go back a long, long, long ways, including an Amtrak line that came up from Kansas City back until about the 30s or 40s. So we are looking at rail. We are improving the airport. We just put 45 million into the airport to update that. We're getting ready to put in quite a bit more in the near future. We have Herzog here, so we're good on highways because they've built most of the highways between frankly here and the East Coast. But we really need to work on the infrastructure of the local roads. Everything else we seem to have pretty well handled. We're working with MoDOT to get truck access to downtown and the old stockyards area, which has been a little bit of an issue, but we think in the next 4 or 5 years that's going to work itself out with some of the plans that we've talked about with MoDOT. Hopefully they'll follow our ideas.
Well, Andrew, all that sounds promising, and I will say it's interesting. It doesn't matter which community we speak to. Roads are kind of the topic du jour right now. So it's a pressing issue, and I appreciate you having some familiarity with that.
It is, yeah. And bridges. One of my best friends used to be the district highway engineer, and when he retired 3 years, I think this was 3 years ago, I said, "How many bridges are left in Northwest Missouri that need to be replaced?" And he said somewhere between 250 and 300. So roads are always an issue.
Absolutely. And it's funny because you install these bridge projects decades before, and then they all suddenly seem to catch up at the same time. And I know that's a
Yes, they
very
do.
expensive and pressing issue nationally. So I
Yeah,
appreciate you sharing that.
we've just built we've just built one and tore down another one that goes over I-29, and they're saying the one that we're working on now will take about 4 months, which is absolutely rapid. But I'm shocked at the numbers at what it costs to build a bridge over a highway.
It's
I could
unbelievable.
live on that for a couple hundred years.
I'm sure that's the case. I want to pivot away from policy here for a moment. I'm just
Sure.
curious, can you speak to any achievements or professional accomplishments, personal accomplishments of yours that you feel as though best demonstrate your readiness to serve in office?
Huh. Well, yeah, it's a culmination of a lifetime of different varieties of leadership. I was an Air Force commander for a lot of years, and uh, I received a number of awards for the work that we did. I ran the medical unit at Whiteman Air Base, the 442nd, which is the A-10 wing. Received one award in particular for having one of the top 5 medical clinics in the Air Force, in all of the Air Force. Not bad for a small unit of 1,200 people, but I have had similar accomplishments in the practice of dentistry. This last 4 years in the council, obviously we don't get awards, we don't want awards, we don't seek awards, but we have had a number of compliments, including from the governor, saying that we have been probably the most little p progressive council and city governance in the state of Missouri. We're moving ahead. We're doing things to build population. We're doing things to build tax base. We're not increasing taxes, but we have moved a lot of markers to try to get more people to St. Joe, and try to bring specifically more businesses and more jobs into St. Joe, on top of hundreds of millions worth of development, which is always good because we haven't had tens of millions of development for the last probably 30 years each year.
Well, very much appreciate that answer. Sounds like there's quite a bit there. I certainly would be mindful of your time, so I do have a last sort of two-part question, if you
Sure.
will. Certainly, as realtors, we are quite involved in communities, whether interacting with
Indeed.
residents, property owners, other businesses. So, two-part question here. My first question is, if you were to be elected to office, would you be committed to working with the Kansas City Regional Association of Realtors and our
Absolutely.
members to craft housing policy? And my second question is a little bit more pointed is, why should realtors support you?
Oh, That's a good question, and you'd think I would have thought of that ahead of time. I do work with a number of realtors. I have breakfast with a couple of them on Fridays, once a month, not specifically as realtors, but as people in the community who have input, and I like to receive their input. And frankly, it's the only way I know what's going on is by asking them questions. Why should they? I do support growth in St. Joe, and to achieve growth, we not only have to have economic development, but we do have to have housing ready for those people when they bring businesses in and bring employees with them. And it's key on our agenda to not just have housing, but to have appropriate housing at appropriate cost in appropriate areas. And we've literally moved mountains to bring infrastructure into areas where we could have growth, brought highways in, brought highway exits in, we have a river on the east side of St. Joe, which blocks development until we put a pump in for sewage. So we're working on expanding the sewage lines. We're working on expanding highway lines. We're looking at expanding highway exits into St. Joseph to get people where they need to be, to bring them into business development areas and to build housing near those developments. It's probably the best I got.
And Andrew, just kind of back to the first point of that question, is that a yes? You would be willing to work with realtors if in office?
Yeah, I talk to one at least once a week.
Well, perfect. That's a great relationship to have. I certainly hope that you maintain that. Always know we're here as a resource if you ever have any questions on housing policy.
I appreciate it.
Of course. And is there any questions we can address for you at this time?
I probably have some, but St. Joe's a small community. I know almost all the realtors here, and we talk frequently enough. I don't really have any immediate questions for you, and I do know what you do, and I do know who you are. If I can't get a local answer, I assure you I'll call you back. But unfortunately, we've had I meet with some people who are long time 50-60-year realtors that I talk to regularly, and they almost always have the answers I need.
With that kind of experience, I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
And if they've been in it that long, they probably will just make it up.
Well, there's one I know makes it up, but it's always a good answer.
You always know that it's made up when it comes from that guy, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's always a good answer.
We have the gift of gab, that we do.
Yeah, and that's important. That's important.
Well, very well said. And Andrew, if there's nothing else for us, we just really appreciate your time. Best of luck in your election, and we'll certainly be in touch.
I appreciate it, and thank you for your time. I really do appreciate it.
Good luck, sir.
Take care.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Mm-hmm.